sonically, the Chronic.
Yeah. I mean, what else can you say? No, it set a standard that this 30 years, something years later, people are still trying to reach. It sonically set a standard that people are still trying to reach that level of excellence as far as sonic quality is concerned, almost 30 years later. And that's amazing to think about the advancements in audio technology and what has happened with how we can create music. Nothing still beats that sound. Nothing beats the feeling of when you turn that Chronic music on and have it coming through your speaker, the highs and the lows, the bass frequencies, the samples, to be able to hear those mini moogs and those synthesizers and the strings and just everything that you could think about when you talk about the Chronic. 30-something years later, it's a standard we're still trying to get to. There are not many albums in any genre that sonically can match up with that album. Okay. And so when you talk about the impact of the Chronic is what made Death Row. I mean, the Chronic made Suge Knight a millionaire. The Chronic made Suge Knight, the Chronic made Snoop Dogg eventually become an icon, not just in hip-hop culture and popular culture and American culture and mainstream culture. It all started right there with the Chronic. The Chronic is the work and realization that we understand of what we would have gotten had we been able to get a full strength and a healthy DOC. Ooh. If we would have been able to get that. But his work and being able to write for the Chronic and write on the Chronic, ooh, I mean, absolutely crazy. Like, absolutely insane what would have happened. And then not only that, man, but when you listen to the Chronic now, it's almost like you think about, like, if you were to watch somebody and like if someone driving a car, like a classic car, like back in 92, 93, like maybe, like a, Deuce and a Quarter, Chevy Impala, whatever, something like that. But knowing that the cars don't have the technology that they have today. Yes, sir. But just knowing looking at that classic car, and it's just some shit that classic car can do that these souped up cars and machines we got nowadays can't even dream about doing.
Yes, sir.
What those cars did. And that's exactly what the Chronic is. It's a classic vehicle. It's a classic vehicle that without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, that you could put it up against anything today and you could be in like, you know what, that's good, but that right there, that's classic. That right there will never go out of style. That right there, you can drive for years and it will last. That's what the Chronic is. I mean, and let's not even talk about, like, lyrically, it's not the most adept album there, but it didn't need to be. The Chronic helped people want to be on the West Coast because those songs, that soundtrack, the visuals you got from those videos, like you wanted to be in California. That's what it did for me.
Me too, bro.
That's what it did for me. I was like, well, shit, when am I going to be at one of these pool parties where Young gets her top snatched off and all of a sudden them titties is out and everything and shit
off. Ready to round.
Right. Crazy, man. That's the impact that it had, man. The Chronic helped to really bring, along with some other people during that time period, man, helped to bring weed into hip hop culture and make it popular. Along with acts like Cypress Hill and Snoop and Pharcyde and a couple other people from the West Coast helped to make it popular. Became a part literally of West Coast culture. The Chronic became a staple in West Coast culture overall. And that eventually just made it explode over the years and has made it really a staple, man. You can't talk about the history of West Coast hip hop without the Chronic. It's one of the, I would say, 5 pillar albums in West Coast hip hop history that you can't have the conversation, and you got to start at least with those albums.
Big Cox, can we call Dre the greatest producer even though he's not prolific? Is it fair to call him the greatest producer in hip hop if he's not prolific? He's not prolific. He's phenomenal quality, but he ain't prolific.
Right.
Is it fair, Big Cox, to call Dre? How do you feel when they label him the greatest producer in hip hop history?
So I think we also need to understand